Welcome back to $2 Garage, and today we have an interesting review. A 1992 Jaguar XJ6 Sovereign. Under the hood, we have a straight six, a 4-liter straight six. How old is this motor?
I'm pretty sure it dates back to the 50s.
Yeah, that sounds British to me. Now, underneath this smooth inline six, according to him, it feels more like 80 to 100, being
like 80.
It's, 30-something years old. But if we go by the original numbers, this made 202 horsepower and give or take around 200 pounds of torque, which, considering the early 80s, that isn't terrible. Early 80s, early 90s, who cares? They made this car forever. Yeah. And as we can see, it is Jaguar. So this is their idea of making a new model. Put new headlights on it. There you go. It's not a chassis from the 60s. The XJ was made for a long time, but this particular one was called an XJ40. It was basically a heavy re-inspiration of the XJ300, which was the previous car, and this carried over into the Ford era, and then the Ford era design started kicking in. It's, if you're a purist, the last true Jag. I personally don't hate the Ford era Jags. Some of them are hit and miss, but they made some pretty good cars. We have a 25.4 gallon fuel tank, and that is a big boy. And actually, it looks pretty straightforward to do anything to, so. Yeah. There we see the trunk. It's big and spacious, and I could fit several dead bodies. And as we can see, it is being used to hold stuff at the moment.
Lots of stuff.
Let's talk about the exterior styling. It looks like every Jaguar XJ6 from the, early 70s till the mid-90s?
This is the last version because they started to get smoothed out after this one.
Yeah,
this is the last square one.
But they kind of looked like this till about 2000 to some extent. It's also quite the heavy car, coming in somewhere between 4,000 to 4,300 pounds. No, it is a Jag, so let's go sit in the back seat, because this actually looks pretty damn luxurious. Oh yeah, I'm sitting in a couch, and it smells like musty cigarettes. We have such luxuries as a heated vent and a cigarette lighter. Those are actually luxuries at this time. Look at this room. This is amazing. I don't even have this kind of room in the Taurus, and I'm 5'11". Here we see nice, well built. Nice. Oh, look at that. So fancy. Those work, actually. I'm surprised they work, actually. And here we see door card feels good. Touch points, it feels a little light, but you have a seat belt and a pop down center console, which is also nice and cushy. This is a very luxurious place to sit. Let's do a passenger seat and then a front seat, because fun fact, it's a Jag and the driver's side door handle's broken. Sitting in here, we have the fad of the 80s, automatic seatbelts. So basically you had the choice of either doing automatic seatbelts or an airbag. And well, we know what won. But this is automatic seatbelts, and they suck and they love to break. As we can see, nice heavy door. Not quite Rolls-Royce heavy, but heavy. As we can see, again, this is a very comfortable seat to be in. We have seat adjustments, and we have an ashtray that is not filled with 30 million cigarettes, much to my surprise. In here we have visors, and let's see how luxurious they are. Wow, they have visors. These do feel sturdy, I'll give it that. Even this broken one doesn't have that light sheet feel that a lot of them have. And here we see our glove box, which has, what does this have, a mirror? Yes, it does. It has a mirror. What is this?
I don't know.
Okay, it is a tray to put stuff in. As we can see, we have our manuals, and we have a glove box doing glove box things with our trunk release button. We have the one and only center console, which is big and spacious. Now, of course, this is a older Jag, so we have wood everywhere. And I must say, it doesn't feel like the real wood in Rolls-Royce, but it feels nice and sturdy and heavy. We have very basic HVAC controls and electronics that still work somehow. Here we see this looks like they took a gauge cluster from the 60s and like, let's make it look like it's not 1960 but 1992. Here we see a steering wheel, which looks kind of like a GM steering wheel. Here we see a hand brake, which does handbrake things, and it is down here where it should be. Okay, so that's a little moody. So the touch points are fine. You'll have to take my word for that one. All the windows work. Here we see the 4-speed transmission. This is a 4-speed auto, and my guess is it's from GM. Comically, this barge has a sport mode in it. The XJ6 is your traditional, full-sized, luxurious sedan. The whole XJ lineup was basically, it's kind of like Rolls-Royce, but it's 3/4 of the experience for 3/4 of the price. Now, it is traditional, front engine, rear-wheel drive. We all know this. Now to get to the transmission. This particular model has a 4-speed automatic. We do not know which one it is, but it is either a ZF 4HP24, 22, or I'm guessing a GM 4L80E, which is a very good transmission. And unfortunately, you could get a manual in Europe. I don't think it was an option here. This car comes in at about 196 inches long, so that's about the size of a modern S-Class. I'll throw the image up. And I know we like to talk about this, but there were some genuine innovations with this chassis. It was a fairly good overhaul. First of all, it was the last one done by Sir William Lyons, who was the guy who really ran Jaguar in its prime. It also uses independent rear suspension and has such modern amenities for the time as an electronic gauge cluster. That being said, this was the carryover car into the Ford era.
Yeah.
That's a good noise.
This time.
Alright, so here we have turn wiper stocks. Of course, this is my test with all 80s and 90s cars. Does this piece of plastic crumble apart? No! It does have a sound system, so let's try it.
And so I'm offering this simple phrase.
Just that off.
I would say it's pretty good for the early 90s. It doesn't crackle, it doesn't sound like shit. Sounds better than that car. So okay. Now the interesting thing here is we have our light controls here because computers are futuristic. And we have this stuff, which is actually kind of neat.
Yeah, so this is basically all your trip knowledge and your computer stuff. So you can check your fuel range with this. You can check your average speed, your distance to... Actually, I think that's the distance since you reset it. Your instantaneous gas mileage. I have either never had that above 12 or never had it under 40. It goes all over the place with that one. Your average gas mileage, which, yes, that's amazing. And how much fuel you've used. And you can clear it all out with it.
Getting on to that point, what's the average fuel mileage you're getting here? Granted, this one isn't entirely the healthiest example.
12.8. Now, what's funny about this is I get like 10 miles a gallon in town, but on the highway, I will routinely get 40 miles a gallon with this.
Let's go for a drive, shall we?
Are you feeling those master cylinderless brakes?
It stops. I mean, I'll give it that. Stops eventually.
It doesn't have a brake master. It's got a brake pump like a Rolls-Royce or a Citroen. This is actually the superior design.
I must say this is very smooth. Now the auto, you can feel it clunk, but that's a given because this is Jaguar, so realistically this is a GM transmission from the 70s. You can see very long bonnet, very good view out the front. Ride quality, even though this one is clapped out and very worn out and has lots of issues, is very smooth. Thank you, Mr. Record. You have better brakes than me. No, you fucking big ass truck. Fuck you. Alright, that's not making it in the video.
Come on, this is my only working car right now. Don't destroy it. Yeah, so the oil gauge is actually broken. It has oil pressure, it's just the sending unit.
So, you know what? That's cool that we're going to ignore that.
Yes.
There you go. Okay, yep, the brakes start working. The brakes start working about 80% of the way down. You can tell this is 70s or 80s GM power steering. It's barely moving. I can just do this all day and go in a straight line.
So that's what the clunking is. It's the top of the shock rattling
Okay,
around.
so needless to say, given the Slushbox automatic, that, to be blunt with you, doesn't want to shift aggressively. It just doesn't. You try it, it's like, no. Yeah, this doesn't do anything. It just makes more noise.
And it won't go over 2,000 RPM.
I'm sure that's factory. But as we can see, this is not a backroad car. It has no intention of being. Camera can't. This is extremely wafty. So as you can tell, again, you can't feel this, but this thing is just floating and wafting around. It's very much a 70s feel. It does pass the classic luxury car test. As we can see, I am steering it with my pinky.
All right.
I would say, while the steering is very luxury car-ized, if that makes sense, it has plenty of feel, and it has a feel throughout the whole range, and it, by the far, has more feel than most modern e-Pass systems.
Alright, well, I just wanted to check the fluids because something seemed wrong with it. You know, being a Jag, everything's fine.
That's fine. That's the
Shocker,
words.
I know.
Now we will do a backseat drive, because this is a Jag, and that's what you do. Oh, I'm sorry. Here's your tax return.
My tax return.
Let's talk about the backseat review. This is very comfortable. I could just sit here for hours. Again, lots of space. Ah, look at that ski lodge. Faster driver, I am late to my business meeting. Wow. We're really hauling.
40. It won't go any faster. It's like it has speed limit sign sensing capability.
You may be wondering about the 0 to 60 time. Well, the 0 to 60 time is a time.
It is definitely a unit of measurement that...
Here we go, quarter two.
Well, you don't need to get back up because the quarter up here will, you know, even it out.
Now let's try the passenger seat. Thank you, automatic seat belts. Jag. Jaguar.
Sorry, I'll run over you.
So, on a concluding note, I must say, this is a fairly enjoyable vehicle, even kind of somewhat broken in typical Jag fashion. That being said, the ride is nice. It's by no means sporty, but this is when a luxury car was just a luxury car. So that's to be expected.
This is when a luxury car wasn't how many screens can you shove inside of it.
Yes, and how many suspension modes can it have? That being
Mine has one. Broken.
You mean super cushy. So on that note, this XJ6 could probably use a little TLC that it will never receive.
No.
But as is, it's perfectly fine. So, I hope you enjoyed the review of this 1992 Jaguar XJ6 Sovereign. Anyway, guys, hope you leave a like, favorite, and subscribe, and like what we're doing here.